Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and do some more buckshot testing. And today we've got a combo that one of you guys requested to see us test, and it's definitely a pretty interesting combination, but I think that there's the potential for it to give us a pretty nice looking pattern. We've seen some good patterns from this choke in the past, and I believe the last time we tested these shells they were pretty decent as well, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what we can get from this combo. But as for the shells we've got today, I brought out some of the good old Remington Express Magnum buckshot loads. These ones are a 12 gauge 3-inch 15 pellet load of double-aught buck, moving about 12-25 feet per second. Now Remington in general doesn't always make the best patterning shells, especially with their turkey shells, but here recently some of their newer Express line of buckshot loads has been rather surprising. So we'll see what these shells can give us through today's choke. But as for today's setup, I brought out the Remington 1187. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for that choke we've got the Trulock Boar Blaster in here. It's a 700 constriction, so 0.700, which is roughly a modified constriction or thereabout, but this choke has given us some very nice looking patterns thus far, so we'll see how it performs with these Remington 15 pellet double-aught loads. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the big sheet of paper down there at 40 yards and the chrono so we can get our velocity, as well as the templates that we can lay up over our target when we go look at our results. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see what kind of a pattern we can get from the 15 pellet Remington double-aught shells through this Trulock Boar Blaster. Could look pretty good, could be a little disappointing, but let's take our shot and see what happens. Alright, that shell gave us 12.27 through the chrono. The boss claim is 12.25, so we pretty well hit the nail on the head right there, exactly where we should be. So looking perfect for a velocity up here, but how did they pattern down there at 40? Let's go check it out and see. Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and I gotta say, looks pretty nice. Now, the white dot was my point of aim, the paper's 36 inches wide, and we had all 15 pellets on the paper here, and everything is condensed right around my point of aim right there. So, looking pretty nice for a pattern right off the bat. I did measure the overall pattern here, and we had a 17 by 14.5 inch pattern, so that's 17 inches tall and 14.5 inches wide. Very solid, perfectly usable hunting pattern there all day long. Have we seen a little bit tighter patterns out of double-aught shells? Yes, but I would say this combo, just based off the measurements, is probably sitting around, say, number 8, number 9, number 10, somewhere just inside the top 10 for the best buckshot patterns we've seen as far as the spread goes. So very solid performance there. Not a whole lot to complain about on the bare sheet of paper. Don't really have anything that's a major flyer. You might have one at the bottom there and maybe one more at the top over here, but everything is still very condensed right around your point of aim. We might have a little bit of a void in the middle there where we only have 1 or 2 pellets right through that white dot, but still nothing major overall. So it looks good on the blank sheet of paper, but let's throw a couple templates up and see how it actually looks in a more real life scenario. So first up, we have a 10-inch circle, and when we put it in the middle of our pattern, we had 5 out of the 15 pellets within 10 inches at 40 yards. I would say that's a pretty solid average for most decent double-aught buck shells. So maybe nothing that's going to blow us away as far as a super hot core goes, but as you can see, we only have 1 pellet that barely snuck outside of the template. Everything else is behind there, so it's all still pretty condensed down. So based purely on numbers, the core is pretty average, but let's throw a couple hunting templates up and see how it would look in that scenario as well. So here's our deer template, and when we line it up with our point of aim right behind the shoulder there, we had 14 out of the 15 pellets hit the deer. The one that we're missing is barely hiding behind the template right behind his front leg down there. So yeah, 14 pellets worth of double-aught at 1200 feet per second flying down range right through the vitals on a deer. Absolutely good enough to get the job done. That deer is probably not going to go very far, if anywhere at all. Everything is right there through the lung and heart area. You might have 1 or 2 up in the shoulder up there, and maybe 1 that got into the spine, but everything is pretty nice and condensed right through your vitals, so you won't have a ton of meat damage to worry about or anything with this combo. If it were to spread pellets all over the deer, it's definitely not what we saw here. So for a deer hunt, it is absolutely capable, and I wouldn't hesitate to use it any day of the week. But let's throw the hog template up here now as well. For those of you hog hunters, I think it's going to be pretty much the same story, but I've got it, so we might as well take a quick look at it. And here's that hog template, and like I suspected, it's pretty well the exact same story. 14 out of the 15 pellets within there. The one we're missing is between his two legs down there. So more than capable of a hog hunt as well. No surprise there. And if you were in the scenario where if you were hunting and something like a coyote came by, or if you wanted to use these for a predator hunt, a coyote would be just a touch smaller than this hog template, and you would easily still have 10 or more of those pellets within a coyote at 40 as well. So absolutely more than good enough for those guys. So overall here today, that is a very solid combination. Like I already mentioned, going purely off the numbers for the size of the pattern, it might not be the tightest one we've seen for a double-aught load, but for a Remington shell and for just double-aught in general, that is a very solid, very huntable pattern all day long. I wouldn't hesitate to use it. So looking good here today for a Remington load, that's for sure. Not really a whole lot to complain about. I'll take that all day long for a shell that is only a buffered payload and does not have a wad. That's a pretty good pattern, all things considered. Alright y'all, well, what did you think about that performance right there? I think we've pretty well covered it at this point. That's just a very solid, perfectly huntable pattern. And once again, that Boar Blaster choke has given us another pretty nice solid result. And it seems like some of these more modern style Remington Express loads are some pretty good performers. I know they're starting to put wads in some of them. I don't know if that goes for the entire line or not, but this box that I've got here is probably about 6 months old and it does not have any wad in them, but I know some of their other ones do. But for a shell that's just a buffered payload, I'll take that all day long. If you've got 15 pellets of double-aught flying down range in about a man-sized body spread right there, then it's going to do the job on anything you would ever need it for. Whether it's 2 or 4-legged creatures, it's going to perform perfectly fine for you. So I would say some pretty nice looking results today overall. Not really a whole lot to complain about, but leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these newer Remington Express loads, and if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a combo that you would hunt with? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see with either those 15 pellet double-aught loads or that Boar Blaster choke? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All the information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.